So you guys have been out of the mock game for a couple of months now. Tell everyone, what's the real world like? What have you guys been doing to satisfy the mock itch?
I have done almost nothing to satisfy the itch. I judged a tournament, but I think the number one takeaway from the real world is that it is expensive. So everybody who is in college watching this, please save your money.
And switch your major to computer science.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But I'm working in DC right now. I live in a suburb of DC. I don't want to give too much information to the masses.
Yeah,
but,
tell us your home address and give us your
No, I live in Bethesda, Maryland, and I work in DC for the US Department of State.
Bennett. I'd imagine transitioning to the real world has been even tougher for you.
Yeah, no mock trial is hard. I'm up in Boston. I work for a law firm now. Just started recently, so that's been good. I've satisfied the markets a little. I helped out Top Step Mumbo. I helped run Tab, and I'm helping Harvard run Tab for Boston Tea Party this weekend. So that's been my only real foray back into college mock trial.
Yeah,
so maybe I'll help. Yeah.
Yeah, so I like for trial by combat stuff, I try to make it a point to keep up with tab summaries as they're coming out, just to sort of keep my finger on the pulse. And I was looking at the Mumbo Jumbo one today, and I saw your name at the bottom as like the tab director guy, and I was just like, he's not gone.
I helped a little. It's my alma mater. I'm 15 minutes away.
Well, I appreciate that you haven't given it up just yet, and you're hanging on by a thread. Thomas, I actually got to see you back in September. You were in Philly for Battle of the Experts, which is the national mock trial tournament hosted by the Drexel University Thomas R. Klein School of Law every year, to watch your former teammate Sydney Gaskins competing in that event, which she won and was named best advocate at the event. What was it like seeing Sydney as a law school competitor, and what sort of differences in her as a competitor did you see when you watched her?
The number one thing, I'm going to dodge your question and I'm going to come back to it. The number one thing that stayed the same was that she was still amazing. Like, no rust, no nothing. And she only got better. But the difference, I thought, like, it was so clear to me how much harder that sort of competition is and I think we all take it for granted. We have one case problem for 6 months that we, beat the hell out of from September all the way to March. And nationals is obviously a crunch, but it's nothing like what they do in law school. They have like a million different things that they have to keep track of. Stuff happens on the fly, and Sydney killed it no matter what. And it was really fun to watch. It was nice to see you, Phil. Nice to see everybody from UCLA competing. And Sydney, I'm going to give her a shout out. She won another competition. She's 2 for 2.
Yeah, this past weekend.
She just won another competition in law school. And it's so fun because Sydney has the same habit that she did when we were competing. She was very nervous, and I was very confident in her ability every single time. I was like, you're gonna win, dude. It's fine. You're gonna win. You'll be okay. She's like, I don't know anything. I don't know my opening. I don't know and then 4 hours later, she's like, yeah, we won. I'm like, yeah. Told you so. But
So I'm gonna hold you to the question a little bit here, Tom. Did you notice anything about her that felt different or improved, or just not like she was the last time you saw her?
Yeah, improved, definitely. Nothing like about her style changed, in my opinion. Like she only got better at, I think, probably, like, she was always good at adapting, but in law school it's so much harder, I think, than undergrad, because of the sheer amount of things that you have to be ready for. in any given round, like the pretrial motions and whatnot. Like they had in the middle of the round, the defense team. I'm not very familiar with the law school mock trial world as much as I'd like to be, but I think they basically like moved to dismiss the case because there was a lack of evidence, and they had like this whole back and forth, and Sydney was doing the argument, and she held her own. That was something that I've never seen her do, and she won the argument, and it was great. So yeah, that kind of thing is very fun to watch.
Yeah, I'll say one thing. I got to watch her a lot at Battle, obviously, and know about her success this past weekend at the second tournament that she won in Los Angeles. And I think the thing that's most noticeable about her now versus in college is I think she's a very intense competitor. I think she has figured out by working with Justin and just by being experienced how to soften it at times. And it's made the contrast that much more stark, and it's made the intensity that much more powerful. And like, she was unbeatable before this. She's even more unbeatable now. And she still has a whole nother year after this. She's only going to get better. And it's honestly pretty scary. But it was really cool to get to see her up close and personal. And Tom, I'm always happy to see you, even though it was only for a couple minutes.
I am always happy to see you too, Phil.
So Bennett, you came on the show within the last several months, and you talked up your former teammate Cole Reese, who was a freshman last year. Now
he was a freshman, yeah.
And you said that he's going to be the next sort of big competitor, the young gun of the AMTA circuit. Some of the people who watch the show probably know that I have a pretty close friendship with Will Mueller, who is the 2021 Gladiator runner-up and is now a freshman at American. Bennett, I'm sure you know this because you keep your finger on the pulse, even as an adult who's not supposed to be following this stuff anymore. But a few weeks ago at Penn State's Invitational, Cole and Will were tied for the top advocate at their tournament. So I'm thinking we make this interesting somehow, you and me, some kind of friendly wager on their success over the next several years. And I'm open to suggestions, but I think we need to bet on this.
Well, we'll figure it out. We'll come up with a good prize. Will is very, very good. I like Will. So at Gladiator this year, Will finished 8th after finishing 2nd the year before, which was the same places that I finished at Trial by Combat. So I talked to Will, and I think we got a picture of the two of us with like our 2nd and 8th photo. But yeah, no, I'll take that bet. Will's very good, but I'll go with my guy.
So this is what I'm thinking. We could just have them fight. That's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
We could figure out like
Cole's got like a big height advantage though, so I don't know if you really want it to be a physical fight.
Yeah, I know. I thought about that. But I don't. We'll scrappy.
Okay.
We could do like most individual awards by the time Will graduates. We could do number of wins at like regionals, orcs, and nationals. Although that seems.
I'll take. We'll discuss. We'll figure it out. We'll let the viewers know after we gotta hash it out off camera.
Okay. Well, we're gonna come back to this at the end of the episode because I want to have something on the record that we could.
Sounds good.
A couple years.
It's a plan.
So I want to talk to you guys sort of now that you're grizzled veterans who've been out of the AMTA circuit for months and months and months and have a lot of wisdom and perspective. There's been a lot of changes to AMTA over the last couple of years. I think more than, since I've been involved with AMTA. Now that you're sort of out of this, sort of looking at it from a tab director's point of view, from an outsider's point of view, what is the one thing about AMTA that you would change?
Oh my God, what a question. Folks at home, he didn't tell me he was going to ask me this beforehand.
It's why they pay me the big bucks to do this.
Yeah.
Shit.
So I don't really have a good answer. I feel the answer I feel like is always just like is case writing, but that's not to say that the current case writers suck or anything like that. Like I had 4 years of good cases, I thought. But it's so hard. That's like the hardest job behind the scenes, in my opinion. Like they work really hard, and then the conglomerate of insanely smart people just rips their work apart. So I'm a big fan of case changes. I would want more of those. I would want like Because we always use the like buffing and nerfing language. I would want always buffs, never nerfs. If that makes sense. But sometimes, every year I feel like there's just something in the case that somebody finds like right at the beginning or right at the end. It's never in between. That just like breaks the case, and they can do this thing where, and then people go to tab, then people accuse people of cheating and stuff like that. So I would probably give more manpower, more time towards that aspect of balancing, which I already know they do. So AMTA, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but I didn't really have a better answer than that.
I mean, I think AMTA does a better job than any mock trial organization tournament on earth at case balance.
Yeah.
Not because they're necessarily better case writers. I think they probably are on balance. But because I think they make efforts after case release to fix it. Whereas in law school in particular, most times the case writer are just kind of like, figure it out. Like point of advocacy, which is nonsense, of course. One of the things that I did for Battle of the Experts this year that was a Justin idea that he did for his tournament last year is I gave each team a couple of discovery questions, meaning you can ask any witness any question in the case that you want, and we'll answer it. We won't just say like no answer will be provided. So you got all the information you wanted, and then if there was a protest on an invention of fact thing, I really had no sympathy because you could find out anything you wanted before the tournament. And we had no protest at battle this year, which was the first time ever. So that's one cool thing, but I think AMTA does a great job. Bennett, that was plenty of stalling time for you. What's your answer?
Yeah, so I was gonna wade into the whole invention thing, but that's just a can of worms I don't feel like opening right now. So I have a better answer. I think that a system for judge accountability would be a positive change to make. I think that it's super hard to recruit judges, and like it's hard for AMTA, it's hard for invite hosts. It's like the most difficult thing about running any sort of competition is finding 20, 40 people who are willing to come in on the weekend and like watch college mock trial. I think there are systems in place in like high school speech, for example, where judges have to like get certifications and they're tracked like what rounds they do, and I think there's records of complaints that get made. I don't know. I didn't do high school speech. Someone told me that. I think that's a kind of system AMTA should absolutely implement. I know Riya and I run mock on. I know that's something we've talked about doing. I think that's something we probably will do at some point. I just think that is a positive change. If we can identify judges who make problematic comments, we can not have them judge competitions anymore. I think that would be an easy fix and something AMTA should look into.
Yeah, I mean,
much better answer than mine. Sorry, that was much better.
It was much better. I agree. I mean, I guess I'll push back on that. I think as someone who hosts a couple of tournaments a year, I agree with you in the sense that it is the toughest thing to do when it comes to hosting. And I do my best. We certainly do our best at Combat to vet judges. We try to recruit judges we know, but it's not always possible. And where we don't know them, we do our best to research them and figure out what their backgrounds are. And if they do anything in the orientation that's weird, we can like consider that. And we do the best we can. Don't you think that'd be kind of burdensome on individual hosts, even just like setting aside invitationals, just at like the regional and orc level, where you're having individual schools who are volunteering basically out of the goodness of their hearts to run regionals? That'd be a tough system to implement.
Like not at all. I mean, people already complain about the judges. All they got to do is write it down. Like someone can build a program, build a database. Like we could, write in what trainings judges have taken. Look, it's got to get figured out, obviously. Like it's a rough idea, but no, I don't think it'd be burdensome at all.
Well,
Once you implemented it right.
So I guess to push back even more, if I agree with you in the sense that if it's like a host and AMTA compiling information, that seems pretty easy. I kind of agree with you on that. But anything that's going to put an extra burden on the judges themselves, like you've got to do this thing, in addition to just sort of showing up for judge orientation, seems like anything that's going to dissuade signups seems.
Yeah. So I agree with that a lot. I think that you would, have certain judge trainings that they would have to do in the judge training they normally do, like the presentation, but there would be different levels to that. And you would write down like which ones they had seen and gone through. I don't know, Phil, I haven't worked out exactly how I do it. I sort of know how we might do it for mock on in the future, but I don't know how AMTA would do it. I just think it is something that should be looked into. as something that could solve problems before they happened.
Maybe a more sort of basic, or at least first level way to do it is to just consider instructions to judges on certain things that they should and shouldn't say, which I'm sure is being done by.
But they do that and judges just don't listen.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. Like we do that at combat. I do it at battle, and like judges are still judges.
Yeah.
I think it's sort of one of those things that's going to be tough to totally eradicate, unfortunately, but I think you're right. There's probably stuff we can do better to fix that more permanently.
I think, Phil, this is the last thing I'll say about this. Like, we had a judge at Mumbo last year who made some sort of comment that was not acceptable and had to be asked to leave. I saw her judging at another invite later that year, right? Like, if we had some sort of system, some sort of network, we could make sure that sort of judge who made that comment wouldn't judge again at another invite. I don't know exactly how to work it out. You're right. There's lots of logistical details that would be problematic, but that's the change I'd want to see.
I think at the heart of it is just info sharing. Like, especially with relation, like if you have a judge at GAMTI who's being like a lunatic and saying some crazy shit to somebody, the problem, like, it is not solved immediately by just saying, hey, you should leave. You got to write that guy's name down and send it to the people in that region, because when a tournament director sends out a blanket invitation to judge to like every law firm in the state, whether that's DC, Virginia, or Maryland, that person may inevitably get that email. There needs to be like a blacklist, like, hey, this guy was crazy at our tournament. You guys shouldn't invite him to yours, or make a deliberate effort to know.
Right. So today we're going to watch your trial by combat round 1 that happened a couple of months ago in June between the two of you. I would imagine that one of the things that you guys were hoping when pairings came out is that you wouldn't face each other, particularly in round 1 as attorneys. What was it like when the pairings came out and you saw that the round 1 matchup was Tom v. Bennett?
It was fate. Like, I knew it was going to happen. It was either going to be him or Ben, in my mind, Ben Crosby. Like, there was no way out of it. And because you know, that's just like how the cookie crumbles, as Jim Carrey said in that movie. But it had to happen, and it was the most fun round that I have had in like a very long time. Very good. I loved it. It was so much fun. And I didn't care about, like, you know, I'm like, Bennett is good. I came into that round like knowing that I was going to have a lot of fun because it was Bennett, and, you know, I kind of put the competitiveness aside. Like, I didn't think about the ballots. I did afterwards, but in the moment I was more focused on just having the fun time with my pal.
So I did not have as much of a fun time as Thomas did. I obviously love Thomas. I was very stressed and very angry at Thomas for half of the round. I was pissed. I wanted to hit somebody besides Thomas. I think Thomas is extraordinary. I did not want to play Thomas because I thought I'd lose, or at least lose a bunch of ballots. I saw the pranks at like 6 a.m. I like woke up. I was like, Azari next to my name. I was like, fuck, it is not real. It's a dream. I went back to bed. And then I woke up like an hour later. I was like, oh damn it! It's like it is Thomas. Yeah, I remember being irritated looking at the round 1 pairings. I was like, really? Like, I have to get Thomas. But it was a great round. Thomas and I have always had such a wonderful rivalry is the wrong word. We have such a back and forth every time we play. We've had a couple. I think really, like, of the like 5 rounds in my mock trial career that I think are like special and amazing, like 3 of them are with Thomas, and it was fun to go out like that.
The moral of the story for everyone watching at home is be nicer to me in the episodes leading up to June, and maybe you'll get a better round 1 pairing.
It was with the alphabet.
Right. All right. We're going to watch Tom Bennett, your cross of the prosecution witness, played by Riya.
Oh boy. I don't think I've watched this since.
I haven't either.
I watched the opening. By the way, Phil, can you pause it? What's going through my head is like, I hope I remember it. I hope I remember it. I hope I remember it. Because I had a really hard time memorizing crosses. Like, we were up late the night before. I was like skipping pockets. Like, so I'm just praying I remember everything right here.
Good morning, man.
Good morning.
I want to start by talking about who may have wanted Barry Capello dead. Because we can agree, Marshall, there were a lot of people who wanted Barry Capello dead.
Oh, this goes badly.
Sure,
This goes
I
badly.
can't really speak to that very much. My job is mainly witness protection, but I know that he was a member of an organized crime family.
Let's talk to what you can speak to. A couple of minutes ago, you told this jury that Barry Capello testified against someone in the DeBruno crime family, right?
That is correct, yes. Someone named Enrico Trevisan.
Ma'am, you read a report by an FBI mob specialist, Ms. Falkenstein, right?
I did.
It's Falkenstein, not Steen, Bennett. And I think the judges noticed that, and they probably scored this down for that.
I'm very sorry. Please apologize for that.
And as
Please,
a fiance, I'm offended.
please apologize to the FBI mob expert for me. I'm
Bennett-
sorry, Jess. I'm sorry,
Bennett
Jess.
says sorry.
Can I?
Doesn't forgive
because
you.
you paused it, Phil. Because you paused it, Phil. I'm gonna tell the crowd something. I specifically told Riya at the beginning of the.
Oh no.
I specifically told her. I was like, okay, like, because it's me, Bennett, and Riya. Like we know each other, and I'm like, I know you know how he is. I know how he is. I was like, Riya, do not fight him on anything. I was like, nothing, like literally nothing. I want you to give him everything that he wants. And she was like, okay, got it.
No, she bought me, and it doesn't go well for me. But while we're on that subject, I told Camille before the round on the other side, I said, look, I know you're there to get your credibility check mark, but like trip Thomas, like on cross, like fight, like argue, like do something, like mess with Thomas. And she did.
Riya,
she messed with you. I was so happy.
She did. And we'll probably see that later. But I was like, Riya, please just give him what he wants. And Riya fought tooth and nail this entire
Riya
time.
Riya always fights. Like Riya fights so much on cross.
Do you actually know that Barry Capello testified against 12 other people in the DeBruno crime family, right?
That is correct.
Ma'am, those are 12 other people Mr. Azari didn't ask you about just a moment ago, right?
Uh-oh.
No, I don't believe that any of those individuals were identified as being in Los Angeles during the time of the murder.
Ma'am, you said something interesting just a moment ago. You said that it's common in cases like this one where members of organized crime want to retaliate against witnesses. Is that true?
Yes, that's what we learned from Ms. Falkenstein's analysis.
Ma'am, those are 12 other people
No,
who
just end it.
wanted to retaliate against Barry Capello.
Objection,
Is
Your
that
Honor,
true?
to speculation. May I be heard? Specifically at this point, Your Honor, we're getting into the mindset
This is the battle of the tie bars also. Battle of the really big tie bars.
of people that this witness has no ability to testify to. She can talk about whether or not they.
Margaret takes a big sip of water in the background there. She's very
She's nervous.
From Ms. Falkenstein, she can't say whether or not those 12 people wanted to or didn't want to kill this person.
Mayor Spyber, I believe the question that's raised was could have wanted to. That is within a perception. Ma'am,
Yeah.
you
Nice.
know the 12 other people.
Bill, by the way, Mr. Schreier, Bill Schreier, the presiding judge, is such a good presider. Like I feel like all of his rulings are fair. He presided over one of Stephen Becker's TBC rounds 2 years before. And I just remember thinking I would be terrified if this guy presided over my rounds. Like he just seems like a federal judge. And yeah, I was scared when it was him in there. I was like, oh, he's not gonna buy any of my BS.
It's Schreier.
Oh, damn it. Here we go with the names.
Bill, Bennett says sorry.
I don't remember this judge at all, which is like I think the best compliment that I can give a judge.
No,
Right.
actually, he's very good. He's a very good judge.
Yeah, he's great. And his team is fantastic. He coaches a wonderful, wonderful high school
Yes.
program.
I
Agree.
have nothing bad to say about him.
Barry Capello or his testimony, right, ma'am?
I suppose, again, I can't
Uh-oh.
really speak to the intentions of those people, but Ms. Falkenstein did cite that.
Rhea messed it up too. What the heck, guys?
You spoke to the intention of the defendant.
I suppose, again, I can't really speak to what they were thinking.
You suppose. All right, ma'am. I want to talk about what evidence you could tell me.
Wait, I'm sorry to keep pausing, Phil, but that Bennett Demsky thing where I don't think anybody's ever going to do this again in the future. So, like, Bennett loved to say, like, he would repeat the end of a witness's answer, whether it was on direct or on cross. Like, and like he would be like, "You suppose," or something like that. And me and Ben threw around the idea of like objecting to that one time just to like knock him on his it's like counsel's testifying or something. But I never did it. Bennett, we were really close. Like I was like
You should have.
in that round, you did it twice, and I was like, if he does it again, I'm objecting. And then you doing that. So
I would have said something. It would have been a good move because I would have been so ticked off that she did that I would have said something asinine. Like I would have been like, she supposes. I wanted the jury to know. Like,
You wanted to do as thorough a job as you could, right?
Yes, that is certainly correct.
You looked for anything that you could find that could tie my clients to Barry Capello's phone that night, right?
Yes, that's right. We followed standard procedures when we were collecting evidence on the scene.
You looked for DNA, right?
That is correct.
You looked for security camera footage?
That is correct.
You looked for traffic camera footage?
Yes, that's right.
You looked at phone GPS data?
That is true, yes.
Man, you didn't find any of Augie Shepard's DNA at the scene of the crime, did you?
No, we didn't find the defendant's DNA. The eyewitness said that they saw the defendant wearing gloves at the scene of the crime.
Man, that's not what I asked you. It's a yes to my question. You didn't find any of Augie
Good
Shepard's
control.
DNA at the scene of the crime, right?
Take that, Rhea.
Again, they were wearing gloves.
Man, you
she
didn't
did it
find
again. She
any
said the
yeah, she did it again. Yeah.
that showed Augie Shepard outside his hotel room the night of the murder, right?
Can I just roast Rhea for just like a second? I want to just roast her about something very small. And it's more not really a roast Rhea thing. It's a roast the AMTA witness community thing. What I don't understand is why the law enforcement witnesses wear like you can't see it in this video, but when she walks to the stand, you can see it. The badge around their necks. And then just like the same thing they would wear to court also. Like why would you have like a suit on with like the badge and like not the rest of the cop?
Wait, is that not a thing that detectives do? I feel like sometimes in TV shows that have lawyers in them, the detectives wear a suit and have like a little badge.
But I guess like why is she not wearing the other cop like get up if she's good?
I don't know, because she's a marshal. The marshals never wear get up. Like, aren't the federal marshals always in suits?
Suits? I mean, I'm not an expert in what the marshals' uniforms are, but I would imagine they have like some sort of like hat or
I've never in my life seen a federal marshal
standard issue shirt or something. I don't know. What do marshals in like movies look like?
All I know is that like years and years and years ago in high school, I went to a federal trial and they were wearing suits.
So when I was a senior, this is kind of an unrelated story, but when I was a senior, Ellie Wallace, Ben Wallace's little sister, was my teammate at Delaware for the whole time I was there. And there was a couple of month period where she got she was in a car accident. She was okay, but she was like out of commission for a month or two. So that meant that me and Andrew Donnelly was my other teammate. It was the other attorney on our bench. Were like in charge of the team at that time without Ellie's oversight. And I remember we put our like DNA witness in like a lab coat instead of like a suit. And she came back and saw that we had done that and roasted us. And that's like sort of what I think of when I see this. Like maybe you're right. Maybe like she's in court, like she would wear a suit and just wear the badge over it. But I always thought it's a pretty AMTA thing. And I've always wondered about that every time I see it.
I think you're usually right. I think with the marshals, I don't know. I think the marshals are different.
But let me push back in this sense. If she was playing an FBI agent, do you think she'd have used the badge?
I have no clue. I have no idea.
Did you guys use badges when you were the marshal?
I stole Ben Crosby's.
He had the best costumes. Like, also, he won and was really, really, really good. But he had the best costume.
Yeah, his daughter, or I guess son costume for whatever the witness's name, Lauren Shepard costume was really good. What did he wear as the cop or as the marshal?
Here is a marshal in a suit wearing a badge around their neck. Let's go.
All right, I stand corrected. Rhea, I'm sorry. I'm probably going to cut this out of the episode so nobody ever knows I said that. I publicly apologize to you, Rhea, and to all the marshal witnesses out there who wear badges.
I
Sorry,
loved
I'm
Ria's
sorry, Phil.
outfit
I'm
for the
sorry,
record.
I'm-
I thought it was perfect.
No, I roasted you about the names. I roasted Rhea. I got what was coming. So, let's move on.
No, when we conducted our analysis, when we reviewed the area outside of the hotel, as well as the area outside of Mr. Capello's home, we looked for security cameras and we didn't find any.
That's a note in my question, ma'am. No security camera footage.
That's right, there were no security cameras.
You didn't find any traffic camera footage of my client that night along the 7-mile drive between the hotel and Barry Capello's house, right?
No, we did not.
But what you did find was phone GPS data that placed Mr. Shepard in his hotel that night, right?
That is correct. We searched Mr. Shepard's phone.
I
We found that.
hated this point. Everybody made this point on the defense. It was terrible. Obviously, he left his phone in his room when he did the murder.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's a point you have to make.
And Ben did a very good job in the final, showing that there were pretty obviously 2 cell phones.
Right.
His GPS data showed that he was at his hotel.
That's a yes to my question. Mr. Shepard's phone placed him in his hotel all night long. Isn't that true?
That is true, yes.
So let's talk about the evidence you mentioned a moment ago on direct examination. Ma'am, you talked about 3 things: Ferrari, a figure, footprints. Let's start with the Ferrari, ma'am. You told us just a moment ago that eyewitness recognized the rental car that Mr. Shepard was driving, right?
Well, that's not exactly right. The eyewitness, when we interviewed them, identified a dark sports car that looked expensive at the scene of the crime, and the characteristics of that car matched what we later discovered was a rental car.
That's exactly right. Your eyewitness didn't identify this car, did they?
No, the eyewitness said that there was a expensive-looking Ferrari or some other expensive sports car. that
Didn't
was
say
found
Ferrari.
At the scene of the crime.
Ma'am, they didn't say Ferrari. They said an expensive sports car, maybe a Maserati, a Ferrari, a Lamborghini. They didn't
Well
know,
done.
right?
Right, they said it was an expensive sports car, and then they listed the brands that you just mentioned.
Now, this was Santa Monica, right?
That is correct.
A lot of people drive nice cars in Santa Monica, right?
Well, I guess it depends on where in Santa Monica you are, but generally that can be true.
A lot of people drive nice cars who are organized crime, right, man?
I suppose that's right. Again, I can't really speak to those trends. That's something that we hired Ms. Falkenstein to look into, but sure.
You
Falkenstein.
can't tell this jury for certain that that car was outside Barry Capello's house, can you?
Well, that car, no, I can't say that the characteristics of the car that were identified match the car that we knew the defendant rented, as well as, of course, the identification of the assailant themselves.
And matches the characteristics of a lot of other cars too, right?
No, I'm not sure I agree with that. The description was pretty specific.
Dark sports car.
Right, dark sports car, expensive looking in that area. It was not exactly very general.
That's a yes. Dark sports car.
Expensive sports car as well. And then the eyewitness also cited a number of very specific brands.
Let's go to the next thing, man. The you just told us that the person was seen to be about 5'11".
I thought that was so funny only because you were like dark sports car, and she was just like
Expensive sports car.
That was like that was like an example of neither one of us wanting to give up. That is something that I worked really hard on over 4 years and never quite got better at, was just knowing when to shut up and move on. Freshman Bennett, sophomore Bennett is just gonna do the pocket again. Like when she says, "No, I'm not sure I agree," I'm gonna be like, "But you already said it was a like I just want to get the perfect answer, and you're not always gonna get it, and it's good to know when to move on. I should have moved on a little bit faster there."
Yeah. I think it sounded really good though. I mean, maybe technically or like on a transcript, but I just think it still sounded really, really good. And I think your point was still made.
Thank you.
180 pounds, right?
Yes, that's true.
We can agree there are a lot of 5'11", 180-pound people in the city of Los Angeles, right?
5'10", but you're right. That can be a common height, weight description. That's true.
And then you told us about footprints.
What were you drinking
We
there,
also agree
Tom?
there are a lot-
What was in that bottle?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked, Phil. Oh my God, it's Evian, but
Oh,
yes, I know.
so you didn't want the tournament issued like store brand water. You want to
Well, the reason the reason is because I told Ben. So like I'm very low maintenance when it comes to being a competitor. I think. I told Ben the only thing that I need are like supplies, like pens and things like that, and water. Like I said to him, I need you to buy like I told him as much as you can carry of spring water. Like I was like just spring water because because there's this guy. I don't want to go too into it for the folks at home, but there's this guy on TikTok and his name is Martin, and Martin always he's a water sommelier and he preaches that you should.
You've told me this. We've had this exact conversation
because I'm very passionate about it, and because Martin is too. And he said that you shouldn't drink purified water. You shouldn't buy purified water because purified water is just tap water that's filtered. So why wouldn't you just drink tap water and filter it, right? So I said spring water because it has a high mineral count. I feel like that's good for hydration. I said you need to buy as much as you possibly can. And I think that one was like probably my 30th of the weekend. Those are liters each of them.
So I am a very high maintenance competitor. And I have my like little water bottles there. I remember at Nationals in Lancaster, I was sitting in the lobby the day before it started, like memorizing something. And Sue Johnson from Patrick Henry rolls into the lobby with one of those like luggage carts, and it's just stacked with waters, just like all the way up to the top. And I remember thinking, I want that. So I think I made Steve go out at some point and like get like a couple big cases of water, and we went through it.
Yeah, I drank probably like 30 to 40 liters of water that weekend.
That's a lot of water. That seems almost impossible. Like borderline, you would have drowned if you drank.
Like I'm so serious. Like I bulldozed through those. I had 2 of them in this trial alone. Right here. Look, right here. I've already finished my glass.
I have 3 cups here. I've already finished one. I've got 2 more.
We'll monitor your water intake the rest of the trial.
Drink your water, folks.
And then you told us about footprints.
That's a hefty bottle too. That's a huge Evian bottle. It's like, so like one of the things that at my law firm that the lawyers say is when they try cases, they don't want to do anything flashy. So like some lawyers will not wear wristwatches, like regardless of what they look like. Some will like find like a very cheap suit off the rack from like a sort of like a random store and wear that. But like that's the level of, we don't want juries to see this and think we're flashy. I would imagine the exact opposite of that approach is drinking Evian water in front of the jury.
It was just what was convenient for Ben, I think. I didn't tell him specifically what to get. Just spring water, a lot of it.
So any ballots that you lost in this round, we can blame Ben for the Evian water. That's probably
exactly.
And there's me in my brown shoes and blue suit.
Yeah, so probably canceled out.
That's correct.
So then I would like to talk about whether or not it would have even been possible for Mr. Shepard to have found where Barry Capello was living. We can agree, man, that whoever committed this murder, they knew where Barry Capello was living, right?
That's true. They arrived at Mr. Capello's address, and that's where the murder occurred.
Now, as you understand, the government's theory in this case is that Barry Capello and Augie Shepard ran into each other earlier that day, and Augie Shepard strangled him that night, right?
That is what we believe happened, yes.
I want to be very clear with the members of the jury. This place where they apparently may have run into each other is pretty far away from where Barry Capello lives, right?
The location that we had Mr. Capello working at?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Sure, it's not that far away. It's about maybe 20, 30 minutes depending on traffic.
It's about 20, 30 minutes depending on traffic. About 10 miles, right, man?
That's right.
And we can agree that just because you know where someone works doesn't mean you know where they live, right?
Sure, that's true.
Man, as we sit here in court today, you cannot tell us how on earth Augie Shepard could have figured out where Barry Capello was living in one afternoon. Can you?
No, I can't really tell you that. What I can tell you is what the eyewitness testimony was, the identifications that we found, but as for that connection, I can't really speak to that.
Ma'am, that's a yes. You can't offer any theory as to how that's possible, can you?
Well, he could have found that information out through maybe connection to the area, but I really can't tell you exactly how he did. No.
Then that's a yes to my question. In your report, you offer no theory as to how that step could have happened, right?
No, like I said, I really can't speak to that.
Thank you, ma'am. Your Honor, I have nothing further at this time.
I thought it was strong. People made that argument all weekend, but I didn't see someone call the marshal out that sort of strongly on the cross for that. I thought it ended really well. I guess, Bennett,
Thanks.
you're dissatisfied.
No, I was fine. I would have done some of it differently. I didn't like the beginning pocket and how that went. It was a good cross though. In the moment, like I'm always very negative about how it's going. Like when I'm in the moment, like I always feel like, oh, I messed it up. It was good.
What is your sort of reflection on all this, watching it back for the first time?
I don't know. I don't know. I was proud of my performance. I thought I gave it my best shot. My witnesses, I'm not so proud. But this round with Thomas was really this round with Thomas and my round 3 with James were just such great ways to go out. Like against two people who I've been competing against for years and consider good friends. I gave it my all. Like, you know, it was a super fun weekend. I'm glad I had the opportunity to do it in person because Zoom was great, but there's really nothing like being there in the room with everybody.
So now we're gonna watch Thomas's closing from this round.
Wait, Phil. Because of all the water I drank, I need a quick pee break. Can we edit that out?
When nature calls.
Okay, be right back.
All right, we are back from our comfort break, and we are going to get into Thomas's closing from the round. So without any further ado.
Can we just see?
Wait, Phil. I think we got to do the recross so we can see Thomas call time on me.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. All right, let's rewind.
I don't even remember doing
And
the
that's a
reading.
yes to my question. You do not include in your report alibis.
Now hold on, go back. You need to go back.
No, we need to see this whole thing.
We need context because you need to look at me and see how long I mulled over calling time on.
All right, here we go.
Recross round? Please. Ma'am, you did not include in your report airtight alibis for any of those 12 people, did you?
He's thinking. I
They
can see him.
weren't identified as being even in the
He's out of time. He's been out of time for like 10 seconds.
documents that indicate
Your face is so funny.
we investigated those individuals and ruled out any alternatives.
It's not my fault she's talking forever.
You do
Look,
not
look,
include
I'm like-
in your report
He really is.
alibis for any of those 12 people. Do you?
Objection, Your Honor. Time is up.
Dude.
Now, context. Crucial context for the viewers at home. Thomas and I go way back. Okay, so one of the benefits of playing Thomas is that we agreed before the round. We're not going to call time on each other. You know, 10 seconds, 15 seconds of grace. Obviously, no one's going 30 minutes over or anything. But, you know, we'll be nice to each other. He calls time. I was so angry.
We're watching it in slow motion right now. You see Thomas look over.
Dude.
He's put his hands on the chair. He looks over again.
And at this point, he was already like 10 seconds over.
And
Like,
for the
before
record, after the fact, when I asked Thomas about it, he was like,
There he
"Oh
goes.
yeah, sorry, I forgot." Not I was mulling it over and decided to do it anyway. Also, if you watch the start of my direct, I then order Michael Blaine, the timekeeper, Camille's second chair, to call time on Thomas. Like you can see me say, like, call time on this kid.
Oh my goodness. I felt so bad. I felt very bad. Incredibly bad even. About that. So it's okay though. All's well that ends well. I remember thinking like, because you asked like 3 or 4 questions, and by the first one you were over, and I was like,
Really?
and Ben Garmo was like screaming at me in my mind, and I was like, he like, okay, I'm gonna let him do one more. Like I'm gonna let him ask one more. Riya was fighting the hell out of you. I was like, don't ask another question, dude. Don't ask another question. And then he did, and I was like, damn it. So then I objected. But
I would have done the same thing.
are you still in slow mo, or am I just walking that slow?
We're in normal mo.
Okay.
You just walk slow there.
May it please the court. The defendant was looking for a chance. he got that chance, and he took that chance. About an hour ago, I told you that that's what this case was going to come down to. Those three things. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about those.
Am I making this up, or is that Cole sitting in the back, Bennett?
Dude, this
Oh, yeah.
trial was packed. Everybody was
Yeah.
there. I was.
This was like the round, like each round there was one trial that like everybody wanted to watch. I feel like this was the round one trial.
Is that
kept
Cole in
walking
the
in.
white?
Yeah, so that's
Oh,
Cole
yeah.
in the white, and that's Ian over there on the right. They both flew in from various places. I forget where to watch TVC.
I'm not sure Cole is that much bigger than Will.
No, he's really tall. He's like 6'3" or something. Like he's much taller than Will.
I
The
think
chairs are low.
let's have them fight. Let's put them in a cage and have
Okay, I'm down. I feel confident.
them. Okay.
My mom is there too.
There she is. Yeah.
Yeah.
She looks very nervous.
In 2018, Barry Capello testified against the mob. Not just any mob. The mob that this defendant is the boss of. We know that when that happened, this defendant was furious. Lauren Shepard told you that. Barry Capello is a rat. He's a snitch. I never want to see his face again. He was looking for a reason. He was looking for a chance. But members of the jury, we know that he never got it at that time. We know that Barry Capello got away. He did something that not a lot of people can do when it comes to the mob. He ran and he went across the country, got a new name, new identity, and a new house. There was nothing this defendant could do. But we learned that he got his chance. And then he went to LA on a college trip with his daughter, and that's when he saw Barry Capello. That's when he got his chance. So let's talk about how we know that he took it. But look, members of the jury, in just a moment he's going to get up here. Opposing counsel is going to tell you all about how we have.
No, wait, hold on. Pause. When I said he's gonna get up here, right? Normally you say like opposing counsel. Normally you say Mr. Demsky. I was going to say Bennett. Like right then, I was like, because like I don't know if everybody does this, but when I do mock trial, like every word is like on a conveyor belt in my mind. It comes out of my mouth like in a staggered manner, if that makes sense to anybody watching.
Yeah.
But,
I can see the words on the page as
right.
performed.
And
Really?
the word Bennett is there going down the conveyor.
He's done that before, by
I've
the
done
way. There is video of him at Boston Tea Party last year in an objection. He's like, response, Your Honor, like, Bennett just said this. Like, that's not true.
Yeah, so I was gonna say Bennett, and then I said he, and then I said opposing counsel.
Good save.
Phil does not like when attorneys refer to other attorneys by name. I tried to do it last.
Yeah,
I wasn't gonna say it, but yeah, I do hate that.
Yeah,
I made an effort not to do it as much.
It feels personal.
That the reason I do it is because it is like every mock trial round is like a cage match. Like that's what I think.
I remember at Top Gun, the one person there that I didn't want to hit was Amanda Mundell because she had just won nationals, and she's great. Obviously, I knew she was, and of course, I drew her randomly. And the entire trial, I said Miss Mundell. The entire trial, because like she was just so in my head, and that's like what I always think of. Like it seems like the person's in your head when you're saying their name over and over. So I tell my teams not to do it, and I think I don't think anyone else is that offended by it other than me. But reference thing.
System, and it's true. We do. We're the government. We brought the charges. We're the ones who have to prove our case. See, he's absolutely right. We did that. We proved our case by asking you to follow those three simple things, so that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to start with that first thing that we did. That he was looking for a chance. I mean, Lauren Shepard got up on this stand. She told you exactly what her dad was saying about this person. He's a rat. I never want to see his face again. 18 years. This man was in that family, going over to their house.
couldn't think of another holiday.
I was just like, literally, we're like November, December. That's all I got.
I couldn't think of another holiday. Full
And
transparency.
you think every holiday was there, like Flag Day, like all of them, just all
And
Valentine's Day,
I asked Camille, I was like, he was there like every holiday, and she was like, yes.
right? Father's Day, like he's just there, every single one.
He was looking for a chance. We know he got it. I asked Lauren Shepard all about it. And you heard from the deputy marshal in today's case, Officer Wright. She told you exactly where this defendant was in June of 2021. He was in LA, the exact place that Barry Capello just so happened to be as well. I mean, what are the odds? And what are the odds that this defendant ends up right next door to where he works? Klein Travel. That's his travel agency. But we learned that they walked past that door. We learned that they made eye contact, and now in just a moment, Mr. Demsky's going to get up. He's going to tell you all about how we don't know if they made eye contact, we don't know if he recognized him. He's going to say something like that. Just use your common sense for a second.
Did you see that? Wait, go back. Did you see what I did?
No.
When he said that, I shake my head and go, I'm not. I looked at the jury, I was like, I'm not going to say that.
They made eye contact, we don't know if he recognized him. He's going to say something like that. Just use your common sense for a second.
Hold on. Okay. Hold on a sec. This is going to be important for the viewers later. You need to go back to what I'm not right in front of Lauren. Look at her.
Oh, she's ready. She's ready. She's ready.
This is why I wanted a second chair award at TBC, because look at the intent on Lauren's face. Like, she's locked in.
He's ready
right now. Like, and it's gonna work. I think this is the best part of the closing is what Lauren does.
Is she holding the microphone up to the laptop? What
yes,
is she doing?
To the microphone of the laptop, right?
All right, we're gonna get to see Bennett's epic head shake and literally talking to the jury during his opponent's closing, which is great. I think, yeah, I not noticed that detail.
They were over at each other's houses every single holiday for 18 years. You really think? I mean, play that clip, this one, right?
Call me when you get this. I think they found me. August Shepard just walked by my office window. We made eye contact.
He made eye contact. That's what he did.
Yeah, when I first heard this on the recording, I was like, did we hook up the laptop to like the sound system in the courtroom? Is that why it sounds so good? And I guess because it was just the microphone then.
Lauren killed that. Like, it was perfect. And we had practiced that like 3 or 4 times up until the round, like before the round. But it was like butter. Perfect. Amazing. Can you play it again? I'm sorry. I need Lauren to get the
Of course, yeah.
credit for this.
She needs to get credit for this was epic.
I think they found me. August Shepard just walked by.
Go back even further.
Let's just go back.
I hear it a couple more times.
This is every single holiday for 18 years. You really think? I mean, play that clip, this one, right?
Call me when you get this. I think they found me. August Shepard just walked by my office window. We made eye contact.
He made eye contact. That's what he just said. Do you really think that you'd be able to walk past somebody, make eye contact with them, somebody who you've known for 18 years of your daughter's life?
I looked at my mom, by the way.
Or that recognition would just be one way? Of course, that doesn't make any sense, members of the
Salute,
jury.
Mom.
No way that this defendant didn't recognize Barry Capello because Barry Capello recognized him.
Oh.
So that
And she closed the laptop. She's like, I'm good. Boom,
we talked
done.
about those 3 different things. The
Case
Ferrari,
closed.
The figure, and the footprint. You looked at that Ferrari. You saw exactly what the eyewitness in this case saw. That Ferrari was parked right outside the victim's house. Barry Capello, when he walks out of his house, that witness sees somebody who looks exactly like the defendant. Same height, same weight, same race, everything. And that person kills him. And we found out that there were footprints on the scene that matched the size of the defendant perfectly. But yeah, we're going to hear, there are so many people. Bennett Demsky, he spent all the time
Demsky, man!
Talking about whether or not somebody else could have had those same descriptions, and
Oh my God, we have to hear that again. Were you talking about the witness, or were you talking about?
No, I was talking about Bennett.
I didn't even know that happened because I didn't register it. I was talking to Margaret about something I wanted to say.
so many people. Ben Demsky, he spent all his time on cross-examination talking about whether or not somebody else could have had those same
The people in the back hallway, they all started
He
writing.
went outside of those four.
What did they do?
They all start writing. Like they're all writing funny notes about it.
Bennett Demsky.
Somebody else could have had those same descriptions, and sure, he's absolutely right. If you went outside of those courtroom doors, you'd be able to find somebody who fits those descriptions perfectly in about 15 minutes. That's right. But the one thing that sets that person apart from every other person in this city with a sports car and those descriptions is the fact that this person hated Barry Capello enough to kill him.
That was really
He was
good.
there in LA.
Thank you.
Who was
It's also
just-
really good because the shift in volume and tone on like the last part of that was really good too. I mean, the closing is performed really well, especially one that's off the cuff.
I think in the last 5 years, mock trials gotten much more, at least at the highest levels. The really good teams are structuring their cases much more strictly, like by 3 things or 2 questions or like stuff like that. And that's good because it makes it much easier to follow. I know Tufts does stuff like that too. But sometimes I feel like people have a hard time tying stuff together in the same way. Like it's just like one good pocket about something and then another good pocket. And the thing that made this case a slam dunk for P when tried right was just that obviously he did it. Like all of these things taken together mean he must have done it. I remember thinking your closing was just such an amazing job of just taking all of those things together and just making it seem like how could he not have killed him?
I think we fall into like, especially in a format like TBC, it's so easy to just like go cookie cutter, be like 3 things, 2 things, and we did it a few times. Like there are definitely
You have 3 things inception in this case.
Right.
You have 3 things and then another 3 things in your 3 things.
We have like sections, but I think when me, Ben, and Lauren were talking about like how we wanted to structure the closing, we were specific about arguing, like doing as much arguing as we possibly could and putting like what they called like Thomas moments, which was, you know, things like what you just saw there, or you know, moments where I could be very dynamic but also like still argue, because it's a closing argument, not a closing statement, as a lot of people you know, get wrong sometimes. But you know, that argument part is kind of like getting lost in these are the 3 things we're going to say, and let's reiterate all of the points that happened around in the trial. But
down the street with a grudge that lasted 3 years waiting to settle the score. It wasn't 12 people in Philly. It wasn't just anybody with a sports car. It was this defendant and this defendant alone. The members of the jury, you get to use your common sense. You get to ask yourself when you go back and deliberate whether or not this makes sense. You get to ask yourself whether, on one hand, if you believe the defense, some random person came out of nowhere and killed this person, just so happens to be the exact same height, weight, race, gender, car, make, and model of the defendant. Or if it makes more sense that the defendant was the one who did it, because he was just down the street. He fit that description perfectly. And he had
it was a
grudge
big P
against
perfectly.
Barry Capello. He couldn't wait to get the chance. So, members of the jury, I ask to find this defendant guilty, because when he was looking for his chance, he got his chance, and when he took it, Barry Capello died. Find him guilty. Thank you.
It was great. And the thing that's just like sticks out to me so much about it is it's just so well performed for being on short prep.
Yeah.
Really, you're a really dynamic speaker, and you're so natural with like your change in volume and tone, and on something that I would imagine you guys didn't really practice much in terms of performance stuff. So I thought it was really good. It's my first time seeing it. I loved it.
Thank you. I can we show them the funny joke in the rebuttal? I don't know. I thought it was.
It's good. It's really good.
Yeah. I don't know what's coming, but we'll
Oh my god.
uh
This is like for the folks at home, like when I was talking about like what during our prep process, like we were thinking of like Thomas moments, like most of it is just jokes. Like I think 90% of the things that we would think of as like moments for me to, you know, distinguish myself were just like me cracking a joke in a dramatic manner, and this was one of them that we thought of. Elias was not ready for this.
Cell phone data, cameras. These are the things that we don't have in this case. Mr. Demsky's right.
Damn.
Think about who the defendant is. He's a mob boss. He's a mobster. You know what you call a mobster who leaves behind a digital paper trail? You call him an inmate. This man has been in organized crime his entire life. He knows how to commit a crime without anybody seeing. Or so he thought. We had a witness who saw exactly what happened.
did any of the judges comment on the joke?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
I think somebody did.
Maybe.
I think one of the judges said it was their favorite moment.
Wow. Was that something that you and Lauren came up with on the fly there?
No, well, it was something that we had scripted. Because I think Ben might have made that joke like originally when we were practicing. It was just like, yeah, no, you know what? I'm remembering it now, and it literally was Ben. He said that exactly the way that I did, and I was like, "That's good. Write that down." And then he was like, "What do you call a guy who leaves behind a paper trail and gets caught by cameras? You call him an inmate."
So before I guys let you go, and I'd say, and I'm sure you're going to be back on the show, I don't know, probably like next week or something, but just in case, a couple of quick hitters for you both. First of all, who do you think is going to win Trial by Combat 2023?
I don't know anybody really anymore. Is Travis going to compete in the spring?
Oh yeah,
okay.
probably. I
Right.
think.
Is it like LSAT stuff? Because I understand.
I have no idea.
Maybe not. Whatever.
I
Travis.
think Travis is gonna do it.
I'm gonna say Travis because Bennett was gonna say Travis, and I want to steal Bennett's answer. Maybe he wasn't. Travis Harper for Trial by Combat.
Unless Bennett says Cole Reese, he's a coward.
I was also going to say Cole Reese.
I wasn't gonna say Travis. Look, I think Cole is fantastic. I think Cole is great. From Tufts, if you're asking me to pick Tufts person, I pick Margaret Becklin. Right now, I pick Margaret Becklin. I'll go with Murray Edwards. I did not get to see Murray during the weekend. I was not in any rounds with Murray. But I watched the semifinal with Ben, and I thought she was fabulous. I will pick her.
Yeah, I presided over that round. She's really good. I think someone who was not on a lot of people's radars coming into the weekend, but she is really, really, really good. And I think she's already having a good year so far. I think she has at least one award somewhere. But she's fantastic. Last question. I give this question to some of our guests who are mock historians, and the two of you certainly are that. Who do you think is the greatest of all time? Who's the GOAT?
Oh, he's going to say my answer.
Well, now I know who you're both going to say. But Bennett, why don't you go first?
Yeah, why don't you go first?
I'm going to say Sydney.
Yeah, I was going to say Sydney too.
Okay, so I don't necessarily disagree. I think she's certainly one of the people that would be on my list. What do you think sets her apart from the other people on the list, like the Dan Youngs and Ben Wallace's and that group?
Well, one, because I have competed with her and I know like firsthand how much work Sydney puts in. Like it is ridiculous. It's something that I like, and you know, like when you watch like other folks compete, you know, especially when you're starting out, you want to emulate it, you know, because that's like, because you don't know your own style yet or whatever. You want to emulate it as much as you can. Try to, you know, I don't want to say copy, but like that's pretty much what it is. You're trying to copy what they do, what they say, how they say it. Sydney is like not somebody that anybody can copy. Like you can't. It's impossible. I know because I've tried. And like everybody in our program has tried. She is one of a kind in that aspect, and it's just impossible. Like it is diamond in the rough. Like
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing that like elevates her in my mind over anybody else.
You
Because
know what's interesting about that though? I agree with you. She's a very distinct style, but you know something that she does that I've seen people copy. It's very subtle. Have you ever noticed that when she competes, she bounces a lot, like she
oh
bends
yeah,
a lot?
yeah,
So, it's very noticeable because she does it a lot.
the
I've
knees.
seen so many people do that now.
Yeah, and it doesn't look natural on
It
anybody
does.
else.
It looks weird when they
It
do
looks
it.
weird on everybody else. And
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing that is like so important, I think, about her differentiation of herself. Like you can't take anything, any single thing that she does and do it yourself. Like Sydney, I remember in the Elias chimpanzee case when like one of the points was about like the food smell might have ticked off this animal. Sydney had a point in her closing. I don't remember which side it was, but she was like, when when you're in the house and you're upstairs and somebody's cooking food, you want to cut and you smell that food, you come down and you say, "What's cooking?" And like Sydney said, "What's cooking?" And it was like a 10 every single time she said it. If I said "What's cooking," I mean, you just saw me say it. I look like a lunatic, like a maniac. Like I sound like a dumbass. But when she says it, it's like, yeah, you do say "What's cooking" when you come downstairs, and it's like an amazing advocacy moment for her. But so that's why I think she's number one.
Thomas literally stole my answer. Like exactly what I was gonna say. I love watching so many people who are great at mock trial. They can all be copied. Like I will never not love watching Daniel Stern. You can mimic Daniel Stern. I know because I was doing it for like 2 of the years I was in college, and like even a little bit after that. You just it's like I don't know. She's just like great, like to watch, to compete against. Like if you're gonna beat her, she's got to be having an off day. You've got to be on, and you still might lose. There's just I don't know. There's nobody I've ever been more scared to compete against than Sydney. She's just freaking fantastic at mock trial. I saw Sydney compete when I was a sophomore in high school in the Baltimore County final round or whatever. She's always been fantastic.
The thing that I like best about her, now having her, like getting to know her, because seeing her at these law school events, but having her like on WatchMock and stuff, is unlike like some really good competitors, she seems really easy to work with, wants to get better, always looking for ways to get better, coachable, down to earth. And I was just like really struck by that when I spent an hour with her on Zoom and then spent the weekend with her in Philly, and like talking to her sporadically over the last couple of years. Like she's just really down to earth and wants to get better. And that's why I think she's been so good. But more than that, that's why I think she's going to really tear it up over the next year and a half before she graduates, because she's really good. I've seen her get better in the last 8 weeks, and she's going to continue to get better at all the things that she's a 9 at right now, and are going to become 10s.
I have one more reason that's different than Thomas's. She has 4 All-Americans. I can't think of anybody with 5. I think of a couple people with 4. She lost her junior year nationals, right? Like if there's no COVID, she probably ends up with 6, and that's 2 more than anybody else I can think of.
I think my boy, Dennis Tincelli, has 4 as a witness. I think
he has 4.
Yeah,
he has 4. My boy Arvin Godet from Tufts blocked him from the 5th one.
Okay. Well, we're happy with our four here at Drexel.
She also has like at Orcs. I think she's like the only person to ever get 2020 at Orcs.
I remember that.
Or like the first one in like 10 years or something like that. That was the COVID year. If we went to nationals, like that would have been so much fun. That would have been so much fun. But
I think I just take for granted, like, I should say the opposite. I just think as a coach, and like as I am getting older and more removed from competing, I just don't take for granted really good competitors who want to get better and want to learn. And she is that. And I just think that's the reason she's been so good. She wants to get better, no matter. She does not rest on her laurels ever. She wants to be prepared. She wants to get better. She wants to learn. And I just really enjoyed having her on the show and getting to know her over the last year or so. What are you guys up to over the next year? What's going on?
So I'm still, I'm working my job. I work for the US government, doing I can't say exactly what I do, but we do sanctions work in the State Department, and I'm on
Invention of fact.
No invention of fact. More like
Nice.
little bit more important.
Well done. Well, very well done.
But I'm working towards law school. I feel like every few weeks I get a question like, "Hey, are you going to law school? Or are you thinking about law school?" And I always say, me and Lauren always end up getting asked this question at the exact same time, and it's always both of us at this point say at the exact same time, eventually. So we will be going to law school eventually, and hopefully thinking about mock trial in law school if we're not rusted bag of bones by then.
Bennett, I think you said you're still doing you're working for a law firm in
So Boston. So I started at Morgan Lewis in Boston. And yeah, I'm thinking about law school. I gotta take the LSAT again eventually. It'll happen next couple of years.
Yeah, enjoy not being a lawyer as long as you can, because it is there are a lot of long weeks and long nights. But so enjoy being fake lawyers for a little bit longer. It's great having you guys on as always. I'm sure it won't be the last time, and enjoy the next couple of months until I talk to you next.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.